always had a special place in my heart, full of blood, guts, and adrenaline all mixed into one big ball of demon hate. It's got a whole lot going for it, and even more than the previous games, which is pretty much what you want out of your sequels. So let's go ahead and jump into this review and see how it stacks up and if it's worth slaying a ton more demons. In 2016, when the brand spanking new Doom game came out, it was a breath of fresh air for the franchise that felt pretty much dead. It gave it more than just a new coat of paint. The 2016 Doom game was pretty much its own thing, and boy did players take notice because it was praised to high heaven, or should I say low hell, which it very well should have been because it was a very awesome game, and you could just jump into it and have a ton of mindless adrenaline pumping action. And sometimes that's just what you need when you want to take a break from the world and you just want to get away. You just want something mindless sometimes, and the 2016 iteration hits it on the head. So does this game do the same thing? This time the formula stays pretty much the same but also evolves significantly into something even more in this new entry. This time the demons play on your court and bring hell to your realm. No longer in hell thanks to these portals, demons are now on Earth. So it's your job to once again spray their brain matter all over the place and get the job done. First up, I noticed right off the bat how buttery smooth this game ran even on my older Xbox One S. It looks downright dark, gritty, and gorgeous. And the game constantly nudges you to go faster and faster, with all the fast-paced action you can possibly handle. You have all sorts of fine-tuned weapons at your disposal to make the demon blood fly, the guts lacerate, and plenty of flesh to rip open with bullet holes. Doom Eternal pulls absolutely no punches with its heavy metal soundtrack either. It's absolutely fast-paced and what you would come to expect from a Doom game at this point. It's one hell of a roller coaster that is 120 miles per hour the whole damn time from start to finish, mostly, but I will get into that shortly. It's the same violence that is over the top that you've come to know and love from these type of games. But this is cranked up past 11, and yes, it's quite ridiculous, but it's that strange, satisfying type of ridiculousness that we're seeing here. With so much demon blood and guts spilled all over the ground, it's just hard not to love it. The issue that I have with this game is that 120 mile per hour coaster that I was talking about comes to an abrupt halt to throw some story elements in your face, which would be fine, but it's so vastly different than all that adrenaline pumping action that it kind of harnesses the worst moments in the game. I could understand what they were trying to go for. They wanted to create more of a narrative and a story-driven experience, but I really don't think Doom is that sort of game that needs that. It's one of those games where you're supposed to be able to just have your brain get lost and just be able to shoot up everything in your pathway and not have to really think about it too much. I'm all for a more story-driven experience like I said, but it's not the only break within the action. You also have these platforming sections which break up the running and gunning that you'll be doing throughout the game. It will have you jumping ledges, bouncing off walls, dashing gaps, and swinging from bars with the stability of a 2-year-old. The mechanics within the game are absolutely terrific, and when it's focused on shooting zombies and wreaking havoc and chaos with buckets of blood, everything works extremely well, but the mechanics translate poorly when it's anything else but. When the pace is slowed down, ultimately the game loses its focus and what it should have been. So much potential here. They tried to be really ambitious and go bigger with the game, and I do understand that. It's what the developer needs to do. They need to grow and make their game a lot more ambitious and bigger than the last. They needed to do something different, but something truly gets lost with the larger spaces and you just lose all that momentum that you gain. The platforming is one thing, but then there are water levels thrown into the mix that are just not that great. I mean, water levels in most games are pretty horrendous, and this one's no different. It just kind of adds insult to injury, slowing you down even more in the process. This is very unfortunate because the game shines in so many other areas, with its environments, the over-the-top violence, and everything that makes it Doom. It nails it perfectly. When you are sticking the barrel of your gun down a demon's throat and messing up its internal organs, it's awesome. When you have those awesome looking environments, the game feels just absolutely right. The game immerses you when you have all those adrenaline pumping actions and interactions with the demons, which there are plenty of them. You have glory kills front and center, which are very ultra violent, but they're very much the best part of the game. With it being the main way you get your health and ammo, it's highly encouraged to kill your enemies in the most violent and aggressive ways possible. And it's just the best way to get through the game, just being as relentless as possible. The game's gonna throw a ton of enemies in your face at all times, and you just kinda have to be relentless right back to it. That's the only way you're gonna get through the game, and that's where the game very much shines. You've also got a chainsaw to make quick work of demons for health and ammo as well, and you also have this thing called a flame belch, which is a shoulder mounted flamethrower of sorts. It can burn demons' flesh at its heart's content. You also have a blood punch that once you charge it up, will pretty much destroy any demons in its grasp. All these mechanics and elements farther elevate what Doom Eternal truly is. The weaponry all feels weighted and powerful, as it's truly the heart of what makes the game shine. They can all be upgraded with weapon points, and most weapons have 2 modifications. You'll want to upgrade your weapons and really make them powerful, as the game throws a lot at you all at once, and it expects you just to be able to take it. You'll get through it just fine as long as you keep upgrading and keeping up with your weaponry. The game does get quite chaotic, and really, you'll just have to learn to use everything the game throws at you at your disposal all at once. It's really useful to keep changing out weapons and just really nailing all those demons as quickly and spectacularly as you possibly can. You still have a few confined spaces, but a lot of the time now, you are not going to have those claustrophobic type spaces of a space station or anything like that. You're going to have a lot more open spaces, which once again brings you to those platforming elements, which I just think is a bad thing overall within the game. You don't want to be platforming when you are in the fray of facing all these enemies. It just isn't going to help your case. The game stays quite aggressive and will continue throwing stuff at you pretty much throughout. You have a lot of combat arenas that are designed to just throw a ton of enemies down your throat all at once, and you just have to make quick work of them. The smaller demons will net you health and ammo, while the bigger ones are there to pretty much push you past your limits and truly test your endurance as a player. Its pacing can be quite relentless and has such momentum that when the game slows down, it's a little bit disjointed and kind of devastating to my brain. I go from fighting an overwhelming amount of enemies wave after wave, just trying to push forward to make it past all the blood and guts, and then bam, it throws something at you that basically throws a wrench into the very core of what the game should have been. You'll face enemies that solely are there to just slow down the combat and become one-on-one encounters which don't entirely work with how everything else is structured in the game. If you can endure the slower parts that will make you be itching to get back to the main fray of things, then you'll find a satisfying and enjoyable experience here. Comparing it to the 2016 iteration, it's basically a complete upgrade in every single way possible. Everything is a lot more polished here, and that's not to say the 2016 version was bad. It definitely wasn't, but this one is just an overall upgrade in every way possible. They've added some cutscenes and a few things here and there that just seem to be a little bit of a bore to me within this game. It didn't really need anything like that extra, but I can see why they did it. They were just trying to accomplish more overall. It just totally doesn't work for this game all the time. Doom shouldn't be a story-driven kind of thing. It's about the guns and the blood and the guts and the demons and just having to curb stomp them on the ground. The story in the Doom game should always take a back seat, and I may be in the minority about that, but that's just how I feel. It should be very much an afterthought. And I'm fine with that because it's just one of those games that don't really need it. You know what you're getting into when you put in a Doom game. It's mindless fun for a reason. So the game does struggle when it does decide to slow down the action, but overall the game is a solid 8 out of 10 for me. They tried to do a lot in the game that just didn't work. There's a ton of moving parts for sure. Some of it just doesn't flow that well together. Is it still worth playing? Hell yes it is. But don't go in expecting it to just be mindless demon slaying action. It's trying to be more diverse, and you will hit those bumps along the way. So go on, get your trigger happy fingers ready, and get ready to kill some demons. It was a wild ride and I had plenty of fun throughout the game. Thanks for watching guys, and as always, feel free to subscribe if you liked the video. Have a nice rest of your day.